So it's fair to say that Manchester United's part owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been making some tough and difficult and unpopular decisions, and that's his own words recently too. He's trying to get Manchester United back to being a dominant force in English and European football, and he's basically said that, look, I need to make some tough decisions to be able to do that, and he's referred to things such as shaking the staff up. Obviously, we've had some pretty high profile members of staff leave the club, but on top of that as well, there's been a lot of people that's been made redundant, just general staff at the stadium, you know, the average Joes, Johns and Georges and Janes of this world losing their job because of the changes in policy really when it comes to Manchester United. But as bad as that is, and it is bad of course, I'm not going to defend that. I think that's awful what's happened there. A lot, you know, that hundreds of people have lost their job, you know, that is very indefensible, I will be honest. But this is probably potentially the worst of the lot. So there's a charity that Manchester United support, and basically the club gave around £40,000 per year to it, and they have since now prevented themselves from doing so. They're no longer going to give that donation every year. £40,000. Now, obviously, to me and you, £40,000, that's a lot of money, right? That's more money than a lot of people make in a year. But £40,000 to Manchester United Football Club, I mean, that's just over a tenth of what they pay Marcus Rashford a week to not even play football as things stands, just to be on the sidelines and sulk at the moment. That's kind of what's happening with him. So that just puts the perspective of this amount of money into perspective, really. You know, it contextualizes it to average people, to people who need it. That's a lot of money. But to Man United, it's not a lot of money at all. This is a club that spends, you know, almost £100 million on some players. And they've spent well over £100 million in this summer transfer window just gone. And believe you me, they will spend more than that next summer as well. Probably not in January coming up, but definitely in the summer as Amarin looks to get some more signings in. So let's have a look at what's going on here, guys. Let's have a look at the justification for this, because for me, I don't really know what justification they can possibly give, but let's have a look at what's been said here. Full article on goal.com. The Association of Former Manchester United Players, AFMUP, has been receiving a significant sum from the club since 1985, but claims it has not received the last two quarterly payments of £10,000. The decision to cease funding has sparked concern among AFMUP trustees, who see the cut as jeopardising the long-standing support provided to former players who contributed to the club in the pre-Premier League era. More on that at the end. So why has this happened? What's the bigger picture here? AFMUP was established nearly 4 decades ago to foster a sense of community among former Manchester United players, including those who did not make any first-team appearances but signed a professional contract with the club. The charity organises 4 annual events for these individuals and offers financial assistance for causes such as funerals and local children's charities. What's been said about this cut? Jim Elms, an 84-year-old trustee and former United youth and reserve team player, expressed dismay at the abrupt halt in funding. "We sent a letter out to say we've not been paid," he told the Telegraph. "Nobody came out and nobody told us, so we had to send out another letter. That's when we started hearing things that it was going to be the end for us." According to Elms, United's chief executive Omar Barada delivered the news shortly before Christmas. Great timing. Omar was non-committal. "He's going to meet us again in January, but he said he couldn't see it changing," Elms said. "He didn't seem to think that we were a necessity." Wow. "We've ran it since 1985, keeping the old players together, looking after the ones that couldn't pay for funerals. I just can't understand them. It's ridiculous. We give away around £10,000 to £20,000 to charity, mostly children's charities in the local area. We've had £20,000 this year, but not the rest of it." So yeah, relatively short article there. I'll just go over this last bit in the footer of the article here. Ratcliffe's decision to withdraw financial support has been met with criticism, as many view the move as dismissive of the club's rich history and the individuals who contribute to its legacy before the Premier League era's financial boom. The Red Devils will return to the pitch on Monday evening against Newcastle United at Old Trafford. So yeah, it's nothing short of disgusting that this has been done, and without even telling them. You know, yeah, as bad as this is, the least that you could do is be honest about it. And I'm not saying that would justify this. I am not saying that whatsoever, because it isn't. But that's another wrong on all this as well. You got to at least let them know. These people are... What if a former United player passed away, couldn't afford his funeral, right? And then they were kind of, relying on this charity to be able to have that happen, and then they're expecting this money to come in, let's say, I don't know, September or whatever. Player passes away in September. Oh, we're going to need to pay for that now. Oh, we've not got the money from Man United yet. Where is it? What's going on? That it could have ended in an embarrassing incident like that, and it might well have done for all I know. I bring you guys a lot of news on Man United at the end of the day, but I don't know if a situation like that has happened. I would guess not, because otherwise there would be a lot of uproar about it. And I'm sure there'll be some people watching this saying, well, hey, these are former footballers. They're rich, they got a lot of money. They should be able to afford their own funeral. What's going on here? Well, like the article kind of alludes to, this isn't for the likes of, I don't know, I mean, obviously these guys are relatively young, but this isn't for the likes of the Ryan Giggs, the David Beckhams, the Gary and Phil Nevilles. This charity is for people before that, and people potentially in the Premier League era as well, who signed contracts but never made appearances for the club, never became... the thing is, right, we always see these footballers and they're incredibly rich, some of them, right? They are absolutely multi-millionaires many times over, but not all of them are. Very few of them are. It's like the top 1% that are like that, the top 2%. A bit like society as a whole, really. Just because you work for a bank doesn't mean you're going to automatically be rich, despite some incredibly rich people working at the top of banks. You wouldn't see that, I don't know, someone down on the ground in the reception or whatever, you wouldn't say those guys are millionaires. So it's kind of a similar thing here too. So for me to cut this funding without any justification, and like I said, I know they're trying to cut costs, I know that, I get that, but £40,000 a year for this makes a huge difference to the people who played for Man United before they were this global phenomenon with the Premier League. I know they've always been a huge club. I know they won the European Cup in 1968. I know this, right? And everybody watching this probably knows this too. They've always been one of the biggest clubs in England. That is a fact, right? They just have been. They're like Liverpool in that regard. They've always been there pretty much for as long as anybody can remember, and even longer than that in some cases, right? So I think it's a disgusting decision. I really do. And to not even inform, not even be honest about it, I think that shows a complete lack of respect right there. You could maybe potentially, possibly in some circumstances, justify it. I'm sure some people would try to, but at least be honest about it. Don't hide behind this. It's just a cowardly and pathetic thing to do. You've got to own up. You've got to be honest about this. But hey, there we go. I'm just a guy giving his opinion on camera about football, the game that I love. But sometimes when you see stuff like this, you do realise that the beautiful game has a dark, ugly underbelly at times, because there's some things that happen where you're just like, that can't be real. Oh, it is real. What the hell is going on? But that's just my take, guys. I don't know if people disagree with me or agree with me on this one, but this needs to be highlighted, because it is disrespect of the highest or lowest order, depending how you want to look at it. But what's your take, guys? Should that funding be reinstated? Should they at least have, told them about it? Because they would have been expecting that money. They have no reason to think that money wouldn't have come in until it didn't come in. Like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. Hopefully some more positive news on the way in the world of football. We'll see you very soon. Have a lovely new year. Let's make 2025 a great one. And hopefully this decision gets reversed. But like Omar Barada said, don't think it will. I'll be surprised if it does.